In 1854, construction began at 1 Dexter Avenue on the Central Bank building in Montgomery, Alabama. Also known by many as the Klein Building, was designed by Philadelphia architect Stephen Decatur Button for William Knox, president of Central Bank of Alabama. This Renaissance Revival building emulated the Venetian palaces of the 16th century. Completed in 1856, it was praised by state newspapers as the first iron front in Alabama. Central Bank, which generously supported the Confederacy, was bankrupt at the end of the Civil War. Other banks occupied the building until jewelers Klein and Son acquired and occupied it from 1923 to 1983. The building was restored for the Arts Council of Alabama in 1985. Not only does this building hold a lot of history, but right outside the building, America and the world witnessed a whirlwind of triumphs and tribulations. This building faces the intersection of Commerce Street and Dexter Avenue, and Court Street is arguably the most historic location in America. As the center of 19th century Southern economic and political power, Montgomery's Court Square was host to a massive slave market and the location from which the telegram that ignited the Civil War at Fort Sumter was sent. Less than a century later, Court Square in downtown Montgomery was the epicenter of the civil rights movement. First with the Montgomery bus boycott, which began December 5, 1955. 10 years later, the civil rights struggle and Montgomery's nonviolent protests culminated in the Selma to Montgomery March, passing through Court Square as the marchers took the last steps up Dexter Avenue to the state capitol. This duality of histories is the heart of Montgomery's past. A city with a past as complex, difficult, and important to the American story can often struggle under the weight. Today, Montgomery honors all its past, all aspects of its history, while looking into the future. As mentioned before, this part of town held slave markets. The city's slave market was at the Artesian Basin, which is now known as Court Street Fountain. Slaves of all ages were auctioned, along with land and livestock, standing in line to be inspected. Public posters advertised sales that included gender, approximate age, first name, skill, price, complexion, and owner's name. In 1859, the city had 7 auctioneers and 4 slave depots, one at Market Street, now known as Dexter Avenue, in Lawrence, another at the corner of Perry and Monroe, and 2 on Market between Lawrence and McDonough. Right next to this building is where Miss Rosa Parks boarded the bus on December 1, 1955, which would transport her name into history. Returning home after a long day working as a seamstress from Montgomery Fair department store, she refused the bus driver's orders to give up her seat to boarding whites. Her arrest, conviction, and fine launched the Montgomery bus boycott. The boycott began December 5th, the day of Parks' trial, as a protest by African Americans for unequal treatment they received on the bus line. Refusing to ride the buses, they maintained the boycott until the U.S. Supreme Court ordered integration of public transportation 1 year later. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. led the boycott, the beginning of the modern civil rights movement. Central Bank of Alabama, circa 1856, at 1 Dexter Avenue continues as a historic place in Montgomery with its cast iron front. It sits on the northeast corner of Court Square, overlooking the Foundation for Moral Law.